I just used AI to create a full Apple-style SaaS explainer video from scratch, and honestly, it looks like something straight out of a professional brand launch event. But here's the thing, creating a professional SaaS explainer video used to mean one of two things. You either had to pay thousands of dollars for an expensive motion designer, or spend hours trying to replicate this using AI, which was genuinely painful because these explainers are full of complex animations that require tons of regenerations to get right. On top of that, we still had to manually stitch everything together. But what if I told you that there was a new way to create this, where you could just describe the video you want and one tool generates the entire thing for you? Well, that tool is OpenArt Director. It's a chat-based AI assistant that allows us to create full, long-form AI videos from just a single conversation. And in this video, I'll show you exactly how to use it to turn any software idea into a professional Apple-style explainer video without touching an editor or animating anything yourself. So let's get into it. And if you want to follow along, I'll leave the link to OpenArt in the description below, along with all of the prompts that we use throughout the video. But before we generate anything, we need to break down the exact formula behind Apple's aesthetic so that we can actually recreate it in our own video. And this is the part that most people skip, which is exactly why they end up with average results. Because nailing down our exact style up front helps us make sure that everything feels consistent later on. So for this, we'll start off by analyzing Apple's own product films. We'll head over to their YouTube channel to pull up a few of their recent product launches and save the ones that match the type of video we're making. Pinterest is also a really good place to find these references because there's a lot more variety and we can get some different ideas. So we'll search for something like minimal SaaS explainer videos or Apple-style product animations. And once we find a couple of images and videos that we like, we'll put them all together in one folder. Now that we've got all of our references ready, the next step is to actually analyze all of them properly and break down what makes these videos feel so premium. And this is where things start to get interesting, because after going through all of them, I found 5 specific patterns that were present in every single video. The first is that the fonts are always thin and simple, and the background colors are either plain white or deep black, which is what adds that minimal feel to these videos. And there's only one element on screen at a time, and each part is animated very smoothly, which makes every scene feel more calm and premium. Another thing is how they handle the actual product UI. Because instead of showing complicated interfaces, everything is simplified and presented on these translucent liquid glass panels that add a soft depth to every scene. But the biggest one out of all of these is the principle of negative spacing, because there's always a huge amount of empty space left around the main element, which makes the whole scene look a lot more professional. And with that, our entire style is now locked in. But knowing all of this isn't enough on its own, which is why later in this video, I'll show you exactly how to turn all of these rules into a fully structured prompt that you can reuse for every single video. But for now, let's actually plan out the script of our entire video so that we have a clear idea of what's happening in each scene. And to do that, we'll open up Claude and give it a rough idea about the video that we're trying to make. We want a 30-second explainer script for Figma, broken down scene by scene, with short and simple lines for each scene, just like Apple's own product films. And after finalizing everything, our script is now ready. But as useful as our references and our script can be, they're really just the foundation. Because at the end of the day, the quality of our entire video still comes down to how well we animate it. And animating our scenes with OpenArt Director works completely differently from the traditional method. Because instead of generating anything manually, we can just vibe direct the whole video from a single chat. But the catch is that our direction has to be very precise, and this is the part that most people get wrong, because they either give the director a rough 1 or 2 line description and hope that it figures out the rest, or they head over to ChatGPT and ask it to generate a super detailed prompt. But neither of these approaches actually works, because the model is either stuck working with barely any context, or so much of it that it can't tell which details actually matter. So it ends up making a lot of the creative decisions on its own, and that's exactly why we get inconsistent results, which is why instead of this, we need to write clear and structured structured directions that the AI can actually process and understand. And for this, I like to use a simple 5-point framework, which is story, style, structure, constraints, and sound. For example, here's a typical prompt that does not follow this structure. And here's that same idea written using the 5-point framework. This gives the AI model a much clearer idea about what to generate. But instead of just talking about it, let's put this to the test and use it to build our video. So we'll head over to OpenArt, open up the director, drop in the references that we saved earlier, and paste in our prompt. We want a 30-second SaaS explainer for Figma in a premium Apple-style aesthetic with translucent glass panels, a ton of negative space, and only one element on screen at a time. And since our explainer is about Figma, we want its brand color to pop out and get mixed with the liquid glass theme so that every scene feels minimal and slightly colorful at the same time. We'll also paste in the 5 patterns that we saved earlier. And instead of generating everything at once, we'll start with just the first 10 seconds to make sure everything comes out the way we planned. And the best part is that before generating anything, OpenArt's director actually breaks down our entire video and shows us the full plan of what it's about to make. So that way we can fix anything beforehand, which saves us a ton of credits in the long run. And once everything is finalized, this is what we get. Okay, this looks really clean, but there are still a couple of mistakes in here. Firstly, the Figma logo isn't rendered properly, and the UI scenes feel way too cluttered, which doesn't match the minimalistic theme that we were going for. And even the animations feel a little stiff throughout the video. So let's go back and try to fix all of this. But there's one important thing to keep in mind whenever we're redirecting a scene, which is that our direction has to be very specific. So we'll make some quick adjustments, and after a couple of minutes, this is the result. Yeah, this is a lot better. The animations feel smoother, the scenes are nowhere near as cluttered as before, and the whole thing finally matches the Apple-style look that we were going for. After this, we'll just ask it to create the rest of the clip using the same process. And once everything is done, the director puts the whole video together on its own. At this point, our entire video is fully animated. But there's still one last step, and this is what adds that final bit of polish to our video, making it feel like an actual SaaS explainer. And that step is adding the audio, because no matter how good our visuals look, it's the audio that actually adds weight to it. And creating this inside of the director is actually really simple. We just describe the kind of track we want. And for our example, we'll go with a soft ambient track with a slight rise in pitch each time the text lands on screen. And to really put this into perspective, here's the first few seconds of our video with and without the audio. It just adds that finishing touch and makes our video feel complete. We can even take this a step further by adding in a few transitions and effects using Premiere Pro. But that's completely optional here, since the director has already handled the entire edit for us. And the best part is that OpenArt is currently running a sale, where all of the top AI models are available at 40% off for advanced plan users, which makes this entire workflow a lot cheaper, since every regeneration costs a fraction of what it normally would. So if you want to try this out yourself, the link to OpenArt is in the description below. And that's our full workflow. We started off by breaking down some references from Apple's own product films and Pinterest. Then we wrote our script inside Claude and turned everything into a structured brief using our 5-point framework. After that, OpenArt Director handled everything else for us by generating and stitching every single scene together automatically. And now you know exactly how to turn any software idea into an Apple-style explainer video. But here's the thing, a good explainer video is just the first piece of the puzzle, because we still have to do the marketing of the product itself. And honestly, that's a completely different skill on its own. Luckily, doing this with AI has become far easier in 2026, as long as you know exactly which tools to use, which is why I made a full video breaking down the best AI image to video tools available right now. So if you want to check that out, click the video on screen now.